It's probably 30 degrees outside, and your head is so hot that you can't do without a hat. Remember which actress wore a red cap? That's right, Natalia Oreiro in the TV series Wild Angel, after the release of which teenagers began to imitate the actress. Amir fell in love with Argentine series. But what can Argentina offer the average tourist? That's what I want to find out. You're on Canal Jan Bujan and I'm in Buenos Aires. Let's go! Not the capital city, but a kaleidoscope of architecture. What exotic things can you see in Buenos Aires? How funny they are. Is it true that there's a tango on every corner? I wish I could learn. And in some urban neighborhoods, even the cops are afraid to go. People can't go into the stores, so they sell from behind bars. In this issue, I'm going to do the almost impossible. I'm going to get into the most criminal neighborhoods in the country. Put your camera in your pocket because it's very dangerous. And I'm going to show you both the terrible and the terrible beautiful. Thank you, red-headed chick. Fasten your seatbelts. The journey to the birthplace of Wild Angel is about to begin. Hola, Buenos Aires, the capital and largest city of Argentina. Population of almost 15 million, and many locals call themselves porteños, which translates to port dwellers. Very nice. By the way, the Argentine capital now bears a name that has been severely shortened. And once it was called that, you have to take in more air here. City of the Most Holy Trinity and Port of Our Lady and Saint Mary of the Good Winds. It's a literal translation from Spanish. The people of Buenos Aires are very fond of dogs. And there is even a profession of walking these pets in demand here. Buenos Aires is breathtaking from the first minute. Beauty is everywhere, but I'm getting a little ahead of myself. On this journey of mine, it's going to be very creepy too. All in all, a total immersion. In the meantime, here's a life hack for you. Never withdraw money from an ATM. The whole point is that for $100, you'll get about 9,000 peso. I also don't advise you to pay with your card in stores, restaurants, or even hotels, because you can change money much more favorably. To do this, you need to have dollars with you and change them not in a bank, but in an exchange office. And then for $100, you will get about 21,000 pesos. How do you like this difference? Well, if you ran out of dollars or you, like me, did not take them, then there is another scheme. You just go to the site Western Union, send yourself money from the card, and then go to any branch where you get cash at a rate even more favorable than in exchangers.
That's great.
Amazing. Brilliant.
And while we're on the subject of money, it's probably worth a look at the local grocery store. Surprisingly, meat here is cheaper than candy bars. Why is that? We'll get into that a little later. Few people know, but Russians do not need a visa to Argentina. Maybe this is an answer to our long-standing love of Argentine TV series? The story of an orphan who grew up in a convent and fell in love with a rich man captivated millions in the late 90s. Do you remember this strange girl Milagros, played by Natalia Oreiro? On the filming locations of the series Wild Angel in Buenos Aires, there were even special tours. And here is the very convent where Millie grew up and came to consult with a smart guy. You remember, don't you? And this is in case you've forgotten.
Come on, wise guy.
Tell the truth. Dick!
Now compare the two. This is the building on the show and this is the real one. And somewhere in here you can even see the windows of the room where Milagros lived. Only the convent where the movie Millie grew up is actually a university, and it's been through a lot since its fame. 20 years ago there was a big fire that destroyed the building, and so most of it is now in a state of disrepair. One of the sectors did get rebuilt and now students are studying there, but if you look, the right part is completely destroyed. And the employees of this educational institution are clearly tired of Russian pilgrims. Unfortunately, the guards are sitting here and do not let them inside, but I will look at least behind the fence. But soccer, which also made Argentina famous, is not hidden behind high fences. The fact that I am in the country that has coached one of the most titled national teams on the planet is immediately clear. From the culture of a striker whose name you know exactly. And who's the handsome one we have here? Diego Maradona, for sure. And the third thing you have definitely heard about Argentina, the passionate, free, and insanely beautiful tango. Argentines love to dance, everywhere, and there are more teachers than students. I wish I could learn. Maybe I should ask and they'll teach me. Why not? It wasn't. The first lesson I'll ever take is from this colorful Argentinian. His name is Orlando, and when you watch him literally fly with his partner, it seems easy to dance, but it really is.
Right, left.
Back!
There you go.
Relax.
I didn't get it.
Lucky for me, not everyone here is a good dancer, but no matter how well trained a partner is, the key is to cuddle, and Argentines hug with pleasure. By the way, there are many versions of how and in what year for the first time twirled under the motifs of Spanish flamenco, but it is known for sure, at first it was not women.
It was men from the poorest neighborhoods invented this dance, but practiced had to first between themselves and then at night with girls of easy behavior because they simply did not have money, and you can dance for free.
Yes, this famous dance was born amidst crime and poverty in one of the oldest neighborhoods of Buenos Aires, La Boca. Here it is. The history of the city begins in this neighborhood. 500 years ago, the Spanish navigator Pedro de Mendoza founded a colony here, and for many years, the poorest slave shacks stood here. Here they built a port, and a flood of European immigrants poured in. And while they were building the port, the neighbors made their houses look like a painter dropped paint, and they didn't miss. Now it's the most popular neighborhood for tourists. But if you look closely, the houses are made of cheap materials, iron and slate. Port people and sailors built houses out of whatever they had on hand. For example, wood, which they upholstered with iron and painted with paint that was left over from ship repairs. There was no paint of one color, that's why the houses are so colorful. And over time, that became the thing about the neighborhood. I fully believe that if Buenos Aires were in Europe, it would be as popular as Barcelona or Paris. What's this bizarre structure? It's called the Bridge of Women, and all because many streets in this area are named after famous women of the country, and the bridge itself is the embodiment of a dancing tango couple. But to be honest, I don't see a tango dancing couple there. I guess it takes a very big imagination. Yes, there is a lot to see in Buenos Aires. That's why I chose the top of the most beautiful and really interesting places in the capital. Let's go! It is over 8.5 kilometers long. Almost 7,000 houses have been built along it, and it crosses 70 streets. One of the longest streets in Buenos Aires, which stretches for 69 blocks, Avenida Corrientes, a kind of avenue of stars which is located in Hollywood. Only Hollywood Street is 4 times smaller, and Corrientes is one of the capital's main thoroughfares, studded with theaters and museums, stores and bars. This street never sleeps. That's why you can always meet Latin American stars. And you know the kind of star I want to find.
She, Natalia Oreiro, must be photographed for sure.
And next in my ranking is the widest street in the world, or rather runs, drives, and never stops. Its width is almost 110 meters. That's almost like a soccer field. And they say it takes at least 2 minutes to cross. Well, let's check it out. Timer's ready. Let's go. All right, well, it's been over 1 minute. Stop! 2 minutes and 6 seconds. And I was still walking fast. But for Argentines, it's not just the widest, it's a symbol of freedom. It was at this intersection over 200 years ago that the Argentine flag was first flown. And the street was named in honor of the adoption of the Declaration of Independence, the 9th of July. That was the day it was signed. And the revolution itself boiled over in Plaza Maya. That's where the president's pink-colored house is. It was here that the revolution that later became known as the May Revolution took place in May of the year 1810, and it was the beginning of the processes that led to the independence of Argentina. Before that, Argentina was a Spanish colony, but after the country gained independence, it was taken over by the military, which shot tens of thousands of politically incorrect. Every Thursday for 45 years in a row, women wearing white scarves come here and walk in silence around the pyramid. This is how they try to draw attention to the disappearance of their children and to punish those responsible. Hence the drawings on the asphalt in the form of white handkerchiefs. However, there are many who are not waiting for Thursday. For example, today there are 2 rallies at once. And now there is a rally of some kind going on here. A tent city is built right near the president's residence. Because of the fiery character of Argentines, the city administration is blocking many monuments with a high fence. But in principle, if someone wants to destroy something, the fence will not stop. You have already realized everything is big here, so I present the world's largest mechanical flower, not at all dainty in size. The steel lily stretched 23 meters up and grew 6 petals 7 meters wide. Yes, a huge flower. By the way, it weighs 18 tons. In comparison, it's about the size of a subway car. The flower opens at dawn and closes at dusk. That's what it looks like in the commercials. I think it's a brilliant idea. But there's one thing, the flower isn't working right now. You can't go to a bookstore like this, especially since it's considered the swankiest by tourists. And here's why it's recognized as the most chic. 100 years ago, it was a theater, then a cinema, now a store. But the interiors have never changed. Along the shelves are marble columns. The railings are lined with velvet. And on the ceiling is a fresco. So now you can rustle papers and read books aloud in the porter's room. Or perhaps Hamlet was once played here. I never realized a bookstore could be such a photogenic place. And by the way, subscribe to my Instagram. It's always all behind the scenes. By the way, this is where I found the most unusual book. Oh, Mafalda. It's a normal comic book, a big one. And don't laugh. For Argentines, Mafalda is not just a character, but a 6-year-old girl who talks about the Vietnam War, nuclear weapons, and the cold confrontation between the USA and the USSR. Such is political satire. This little girl can be found in all the souvenir stores. She's on postcards, she's on magnets. That's me this morning, 100%. I think I'm gonna get one of those magnets. Anyway, it's a national hero. So much so that they put a life-size statue of the girl outside her creator's house 2 years ago. It's a cartoon a week, and the line is still standing to be photographed with the character. And here's another one of the most. This is a ficus, is a houseplant for us. And here in a tropical climate, trees that live 100 years or longer. Yes, that's a tree. By the way, it's the oldest ficus in Buenos Aires. It's 240 years old this year. That means it's survived 3 generations. The tree is so huge that dozens of people can hide under it from the scorching sun. And its branches are so heavy they could break. That's why they've put up stanchions like this. And the very first support was made in the form of this iron strongman. And the foliage is so thick that it became a home for parrots. They're so funny. I can't get used to the fact that parrots are like pigeons here. There are a huge number of them here. They're so loud, and there's a tradition in town. When a ficus turns 200 years old, they give it a name. For example, it's Homer. Maybe in honor of a cartoon character or the ancient Greek author of the Odyssey. We'll ask the locals.
I know that, but I don't know what the reason is.
Anyway,
I don't know why.
know why on this one.
Megamer is kind of big, majestic.
nobody knows. Turns out Homera is Spanish for rubber tree. It's the kind that produces the substance that makes rubber. There you go. And how a cemetery became the pride of Argentina is beyond me. There it is, the Recoleto, an elite burial ground. There are Greek columns, elegant statues, and elaborate mausoleums. Interestingly, they don't bury them, they hermetically seal the coffins. They seem to be there in a metal coffin, and the metal coffin is already lined with wood. This is where the richest famous Argentines are buried. This is the tomb of the President of Argentina. It's a whole city the size of 3 red squares. You can get lost. And if you don't get there by closing time, you could spend the night right here. That's quite a prospect, I'll tell you that. And a square meter here costs the same as in the apartment across the street. It seems wild to us, but around the cemetery there are houses with a cosmic price tag. It is considered prestigious for the local elite to live overlooking the cemetery. Just think about it. For a square meter in an elite house, which borders on the cemetery and slums, Argentines lay out, in translation to ours, 250,000 rubles. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to drink my morning cup of coffee overlooking the cemetery. Behind me is the English Tower, and this is the Retira neighborhood, the smallest neighborhood in Buenos Aires. And this is the affluent neighborhood right here, and just 100 meters away, the slums begin. The slums are a whole separate issue. There are 5 million illegal immigrants in the country, that's 10% of the population, and almost all of them live in poverty. In the neighborhood of Lobach, if you turn off the colorful Caminito Street, you immediately see a completely different picture. The locals admit that it's only on Caminito Street that things are so bright and cheerful during the day. But in the evening, crime thrives in the neighborhood. A grandfather came up and said, "Be careful, hide your camera behind your sinus because it's very dangerous." And now the question is, what do we do? Should we film it? And it turns out that even the locals warn about the danger, but Lobach's neighborhood stands silent compared to the biggest and most dangerous slum. The only thing separating it from the expensive neighborhood is the railroad. Over there behind the railroad tracks is the most dangerous neighborhood in Buenos Aires. It's called Villas 31. I've been trying to find a chaperone to take me there, but no one wants to go. They all refuse. They all say it's very dangerous and we don't want to risk your life and mine. The poorest people from Peru, Paraguay, and Bolivia come here illegally, who make pennies, and robberies and murders are the order of the day.
The bridge is always wildly congested, and the chip munchers took advantage of that. They robbed drivers and passengers.
So they built as high and strong a fence as possible between the slums and the road. The authorities were going to demolish the houses, but it turned out to be very expensive, so they just fenced off the crime area. Argentines don't come anywhere near this neighborhood. What about me? I took off my favorite necklace just in case it was taken. Keep your fingers crossed. Once again, this neighborhood is very dangerous. The only reason I'm doing this is because I'm accompanied by a police officer, although he didn't agree right away.
It's dangerous. Do you realize that?
For his services, the policeman asked for 10 pesos. Zinnia's guide is also on the team. She's the only one I've talked to who wasn't afraid to come with me. You know, with a policeman following me.
I feel pretty good in the back.
And here's the first shock. There are people living right on the ground in a pile of garbage. You can barely see the sky because of the wires. That's because they don't pay utilities here, they just illegally hook up to the city lights. And the stores are boarded up with thick iron bars for safety. People can't get into the stores, so they trade behind the bars.
How many people live here? According to the last census, 35,000 people live here.
According to unofficial information, it's 100-0. There's no room to build wide, so they build upper floors. The locals joke that soon Buenos Aires will have a monument to the Manhattan slums. It's just ordinary people living here. I'm looking at them, all seemingly calm and kind, but inside everything is still trembling. Some of them even smile when they see the camera, but we don't know what's in store for us yet.
Either pay for the shoot or...
This man sees the camera and starts making threats off camera, and the policeman insists on leaving.
Small salaries, or why do slums grow all the time? Moscow has a capital city.
In the slum, it was not to the interview, so I decided to ask Zenia more about life in Argentina already in a safe place. A lot of people live in slums. Why is this situation? Because of the crisis. They have no money, or because of the crisis. Is that why the slums are growing all the time?
Slums are growing because here, like in Moscow, always the capital, it attracts migrants, both from this country who come to work and from neighboring countries. People from Peru, Bolivia, Paraguay often come here.
It turns out that the problem is that it is very difficult to rent normal housing here. In order to rent an apartment, you do not need a letter of guarantee from a wealthy friend or family member. A certificate from the bank with confirmation that money regularly falls on the account will do.
People, these are migrant workers we are talking about who come here. They cannot show this. They, on the contrary, come here to earn money. They don't have a white-collar job and a bank account where their paycheck falls into every month. And then they don't have much choice of where to settle. So it's either a slum, or we have another concept called a hotel familiar. A hotel familiar is like a communal apartment, like a dormitory, for example.
Our civil passport is not so difficult to get.
The easiest way to do it is through the birth of a child. A child born to a couple in the country automatically gets citizenship. And the parents immediately, very quickly get a residence permit. And after a few years, a passport, already citizenship. In general, are there any other options?
Unless you have a child who was born here, you married an Argentinian. What other options do you have?
No, the child who is born.
Citizenship. I know for a fact there is a princess option. It is shown to have some sort of income every month, housing or a paycheck. Gives all the paperwork, explains he wants to live here, and gets a residency permit first. Usually a residence permit, as far as I know, for a year. Then they sell it. And then they get to citizenship.
Child.
After an adventure like this in the slums, you really need to take a breath and relax. Good thing the ocean's close by.
So and such, there's such and such. I wanted in such and such county, such and such billboards. Once again on the shooting.
I grab a towel and go for a swim. And the trail goes through a protected area full of giant butterflies. Look at these big white butterflies flying around. But they're huge, like toilet paper flying. There, look there, right there. And small and very skittish Varanuses. Excuse me, please? Can I cross the road? I won't bother you, I'm just over here on the side, okay? Don't be frightened, don't be frightened. Why are you so shy, so handsome and shy? Okay, I don't get it. What's going on? Where are the white beaches like in Rio de Janeiro? Where's the swimming? And the whole point is that Buenos Aires stands on the bank of the world's widest river, La Plata. This is what it looks like in the satellite photo. See that brown strip running into the ocean? How about that muddy surf? Really, it's not the mud, it's the clay. Therefore, locals sunbathe and vacation outside the city. For example, Rancho Don Silvana, which is just a 2-hour drive from the capital. It's like visiting your grandmother. Except instead of sheep, there are llamas grazing in the field. It's not chickens that lay eggs, it's ostriches. And the guests are greeted not by barking dogs but by a talking parrot. Blink and I'll let you go. I'll sneak in at night and let you go. Do you agree? Do I speak Spanish? I don't understand Spanish. What about her? What about him? What about you? How are you from the river? Just give me the word. Give me the word. This is an Argentine cowboy ranch, what they call gauchos actually. And they're descended from Indian women with European immigrants. They have horses too. You're a little unsociable, horses. Can I pet you? All right. By the way, horseback riding is included in the price of the tour. She looks calm. You can sit on her. I'll call you Sunshine. What I can't figure out is, where's the brake on Sunshine? Whoa, 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 whoa. Brr, what's the saying? And no turn signals. Don't impress me with the fence, please. Let's go around the fence. Okay, we're going around the fence. Good for you. Anyway, I'm not much of a rider. Oh, careful, careful. Don't kill me. I won't hurt you. Let's be friends. Friendship seems to have happened. Or rather, love. Thank you, red-headed chick. After the ride, there's a horse show. Bravo and Gaucho compete to see who's the coolest. And at full gallop, they take off the ring with a thin stick. And the one with the ring, the most agile gaucho must marry the one with the ring. Now we'll have to get married tonight. But let's not get married just yet. I'm in for a terrific hearty cowboy dinner. Here it is on the grill. And it's meat, of course. Argentina is an agricultural country, so it produces far more food than it can consume. That's why meat specialties here cost a penny. For example, a juicy steak translated into our money is only 210 rubles. The competition among meat producers is the highest. And that's why you can taste the most delicious meat here. What am I going to do now? Bring it. First they serve some sausage. Then chicken. It's good chicken. But why are the pieces so big? Then beef. Can I have the smallest piece? That's the smallest, isn't it? That's it. And a dessert I can't eat anymore. I think it's boiled condensed milk. Yes, it is. It's an interesting fact, actually, that the Argentinians think it's them.
They're naive, aren't they?
Thank you. It was very tasty. But it was a lot. I can use to describe Buenos Aires. Bright, contrasting, and hardy. And the locals, like their serialized characters, never stop dancing even in the worst of times. Such is it, the soul of the Spaniards who got American freedom here. So my capital city vacation has come to an end, but the adventures continue. And very soon I will show you the Argentine wonders of the world. That was Jan Villan. Subscribe, like, and comment. And remember, with me you'll miss places you haven't been to yet. Please give me a like.